All right, good afternoon. This is time now for, Mount.Carmel football roster, talking about the deep dish football game of the week, playoff game of the week, semifinals, IHSA semifinals, class 7A, Lake Zurich versus Mt.Carmel. It's going to be a hell of a game. First, going to basically go into the Mt.Carmel Caravan, basically their roster a little bit, and just for some people that don't know and understand, when you talk about Mt.Carmel Caravan football and you talk about Mt.Carmel football, first you think about, of course, Hall of Fame head coach Frank Lenti and what he's done for that program, but you also think about what type of players they have and what type of players they produce. They produce discipline. They produce disciplined players. They produce a very talented, a very highly talented player that's able to take instruction and listen to a coach. And that's the most impressive thing, especially when college coaches look at Mt.Carmel football. And that's one of the very first schools that they take a look at is Mt.Carmel High School in Chicago. And there's not much you can say. Their offense, yes, it's very old school, but it helps. It helps a young player understand the selflessness of what football is and what football is supposed to be, not based on the individual, but based on the team. And that's what's very special about Mt.Carmel football and what Frank Lenti has and is doing at Mt.Carmel. And he's done a wonderful job, and he deserves to be in the Mount Rushmore of high school football coaches in the state of Illinois, probably leading though as the #1 face for Illinois high school football. So let's get started. Again, I'll probably miss some names, but let me tell you something. I won't be surprised if I look at the huddle and say 50-60% are D1 players, because that's just Mt.Carmel football. No doubt about it. So let's get started. All right. First, Alek Thomas. He's a baseball player who's going to TCU. I think he might be playing a little bit of football, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm probably wrong. Jeremy Cooper, hell of a player. Where's the other guy? Davion Brooks, cornerback. You want to keep a close eye out for. I do not acknowledge injuries. I feel that you're talking about NFL, so I don't acknowledge injuries, just to let people know. Don't acknowledge injuries. Patrick Szczesnaik, tight end, another player to look out for too. But they have a really deep roster, and especially for next year, coming next year for the junior year, they look good. You got Matt Lenti at junior box safety, looks pretty good. Offensive tackle you want to keep a close eye for is Marcelo Mendiola. He's a junior. Look out for him for next year. He's going to be a hell of a player. Jalen Weathers, senior defensive back. You want to keep a little bit of an eye for that player too. They've got a good group of sophomores coming in for next year. They're going to be juniors. Watch out for them too. Where's the other one I'm looking for? I'm missing another person. They have another defensive back that's really is a hell of a player. They also have another offensive lineman who's a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken, who's going to be a great addition onto Mt.Carmel next year. But again, I think this is one of their slower. I think this is one of their slower years. Now, if you could imagine the players that left Mt.Carmel, if they were at Mt.Carmel today, it'd be 12-0 and winning a lot. But the key thing about Mt.Carmel football for their roster is one player leaves, or one player is graduated, or one player is injured. The other person steps up and doesn't miss a beat. And that's the whole thing with Mt.Carmel Caravan football, and always has been and always will be. It's it's basically a team philosophy. No, it's not about the individual. It's about the team, and that's Mt.Carmel football. That will always be Mt.Carmel football as long as Lenny's there and the coaching staff is there, and it's something beautiful for a football coach, especially in my view. I've coached with the whole passing scheme, the run and shoot thing, and I'm not a big fan of it because I think it preaches individualism and greedy and selfishness. this is the type of football that breeds it's team unity about the team, simple as that. And that's what Lenny has preached, and that's why he's won so much, and that's a good thing to do. So that's it for Mount Carmel roster. It's going to be interesting, especially 2 years to see Mount Carmel because they're going to be really good. I'm sorry, 1 year, really good. And they're in the playoffs now, but they're going to be fresh in some teams, so it should be interesting. So keep it here for DeepDishFootball.com for the Deep Dish Football Game of the Week between Lake Zurich and Mount Carmel.